All right, get ready, because we're taking a deep dive into the world of blockchain in oil and gas.
Oh, yeah.
And the numbers are pretty amazing. This market is expected to jump from just over $100 million to a massive $7 billion by 2030.
Wow.
That's huge growth.
Huge.
So we're not just talking about some tech trend here.
Yeah.
This is about like a fundamental shift in how this gigantic industry operates,
Yeah,
making it more efficient, transparent, maybe even greener.
for sure.
So what do you think the biggest impact of blockchain will be on the industry?
Well, the interesting thing is that blockchain isn't just like dipping a toe into oil and gas.
Yeah.
It's like diving headfirst into almost every part of it.
Okay.
Think about tracking a barrel of oil from a well in the middle of nowhere all the way to your gas station,
Wow.
making financial transactions faster, and even like changing how oil rigs themselves operate. There are tons of possibilities.
Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit.
Yeah,
You mentioned tracking. It's pretty mind-blowing to think that you could follow a barrel of oil on its entire journey and know exactly where it's been and what condition it's in every step of the way. Is that really possible?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
We're talking about real-time monitoring. Imagine a whole network of sensors on oil shipments, pipelines, storage facilities, all feeding data into a blockchain system.
Okay.
This means we can pinpoint the location and condition of a barrel of oil down to the second.
Wow.
And even a tiny change in temperature, let's say 0.5 degree Celsius,
Yeah.
could trigger an alert.
Mm,
It's like having a digital guardian watching over every single drop.
that's really amazing.
It is.
But wouldn't that create like mountains of data?
It does, and that's where blockchain really shines.
Okay.
It provides this like immutable and tamper-proof record of every single data point,
Okay.
making it the ultimate tool for data integrity and security.
So we're not just talking about knowing where the oil is.
Right.
We're also talking about confirming that it's authentic.
Exactly. This level of tracking combined with tech like molecular marking, which basically gives each batch of oil a unique fingerprint,
Oh, wow.
adds a whole new layer of trust to the system.
Okay.
It's like having a built-in guarantee of quality and origin at every stage.
That makes sense.
And this is super important for a global commodity like oil,
Yeah.
where counterfeiting and adulteration are big issues.
Right, right. Wow, so I see how this could like revolutionize the supply chain,
Yeah,
building trust and efficiency in a way that was never possible before.
huge impact.
But what about the financial side of things?
Yeah.
I know oil and gas trading involves a lot of complex transactions.
Right.
Where does blockchain fit into all of that?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Traditional oil and gas trading can be incredibly slow and expensive.
Yeah.
You have multiple parties involved, paperwork going back and forth, and payments that can take weeks or even months to clear.
I can imagine.
Blockchain can streamline all of that.
So how does that work in practice?
Imagine a world where all those contracts, invoices, and payment confirmations
Yeah.
are handled automatically through smart contracts on a blockchain, instead of relying on slow and error-prone manual processes.
Right.
We can have transactions executed almost in real time,
No.
flashing processing times from weeks to hours.
Wow.
It's like trading at the speed of light.
Okay, you mentioned smart contracts.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's a term that always makes my head spin a little.
Sure.
So could you break it down for me and for our listeners who might be wondering the same thing?
Of course.
What exactly is a smart contract?
Think of a smart contract as a self-executing agreement, written in code and stored on the blockchain.
Okay.
Let's say you're a buyer, and a seller agrees to deliver a shipment of oil at a certain price and date.
Yeah.
The terms of that agreement are encoded into a smart contract.
Okay.
And once those conditions are met,
Uh-huh.
like let's say the shipment arrives at the port on time,
Right.
the payment is automatically released to the seller.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So it's like having an automated escrow system built right into the transaction.
Exactly.
No more waiting around for invoices and paperwork to clear.
Right.
I can already see how this could save companies a ton of time and money.
Absolutely. We're talking potential cost savings of 30 to 50%
Wow.
just by streamlining these processes.
That's huge.
And it's not just about saving money.
Okay.
It's also about reducing risks. Since smart contracts are tamper-proof and transparent,
Yeah.
it eliminates a lot of the uncertainty and potential for disputes that can plague traditional transactions.
So it's about speed, security, and efficiency.
That's right.
Sounds like a win-win-win situation.
It is.
But how do smart contracts actually help to manage risk?
Imagine you're a company hedging oil prices to protect yourself from market volatility.
Okay.
With smart contracts, you can automatically execute those hedging strategies based on predefined market conditions.
Okay.
So if the price of oil drops below a certain level, the smart contract could automatically trigger a purchase order
Mm-hmm.
to lock in a favorable price.
That's interesting.
This level of automation makes managing financial exposure much more efficient and precise.
That's fascinating.
It is.
It's like having this built-in financial safety net
Yeah,
that can react instantly to market changes.
exactly.
But let's shift gears a little bit
Sure.
and talk about the physical operations of the oil and gas industry.
Right.
I mean, we're talking about massive rigs, pipelines, refineries.
Right.
How is blockchain changing the way these things work on a day-to-day basis?
This is where the convergence of blockchain and the Internet of Things comes in.
Okay, the IoT.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine oil rigs outfitted with a whole network of sensors that collect data on everything from production levels to equipment performance.
Okay.
Now, picture that data being securely stored and analyzed on a blockchain platform.
Okay.
This allows for real-time monitoring and control of these massive operations
Yeah.
in a way that was never possible before.
So it's like giving those oil rigs a digital nervous system.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
You can sense and respond to changes in real time.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What are some of the concrete benefits of that kind of real-time insight?
Sure.
Like, how does it translate into actual improvements in how these operations are run?
One of the most exciting applications is predictive maintenance.
Okay.
By analyzing the data from those sensors,
Mm-hmm.
companies can identify patterns and anomalies that might mean an equipment failure is about to happen.
Wow.
Instead of waiting for something to break down and then rushing to fix it,
Right.
they can proactively schedule maintenance and avoid costly downtime.
Okay.
It's like having a crystal ball that helps you keep those rigs running smoothly and efficiently.
That's a really compelling example.
Yeah.
And I imagine this level of real-time monitoring also has implications for safety and environmental protection, right? Like
Absolutely.
if you can detect a potential leak or malfunction before it becomes a major issue, that could prevent a lot of damage.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
This kind of real-time data can be invaluable for identifying and mitigating risks.
Hmm.
Imagine a sensor detecting a slight pressure drop in a pipeline.
Okay.
That could be like an early warning sign of a potential leak.
Right.
With blockchain, that information can be instantly relayed to the right people,
Okay.
allowing them to take action fast
Yeah.
and potentially prevent a major environmental incident.
Wow. The implications are huge.
They are.
It sounds like blockchain is not only making these operations more efficient,
Yeah.
but also safer and more responsible.
For sure.
But this all sounds incredibly complex.
It can be.
I mean, we're talking about integrating cutting-edge technology into these massive, often outdated industrial systems.
Right.
That can't be easy.
You're right. It's not a simple flip of a switch.
Yeah.
Integrating blockchain with legacy systems can be a big hurdle.
Okay.
There are compatibility issues,
Uh-huh.
data security concerns,
Right.
and a lot of training and education needed to bring workforces up to speed.
So it sounds like we're in the early stages of what could be a very long and complex transition.
That's fair to say.
Yeah.
But despite the challenges,
Uh-huh.
the potential benefits are so big that companies are willing to invest the time and resources to make it work.
Okay.
And it's not just individual companies working in isolation.
Mm.
We're seeing this trend of collaboration across the industry, with companies pooling resources and expertise to speed up the adoption of blockchain.
Collaboration. I love that.
It's a key.
It sounds like the industry realizes that this is a game that's best played together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one of the best examples of this collaboration is the Oil and Gas Blockchain Consortium,
Okay.
or OGBC.
Or GBC.
It's a group of over 85 leading companies from across the entire oil and gas value chain,
Wow.
all working together to explore the potential of blockchain
Hmm.
and develop industry-wide standards for its implementation.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Having so many major players on board
Right.
definitely sends a strong signal that blockchain is more than just a buzzword.
It's definitely here to stay.
So what kind of specific projects is a group like that working on?
Sure.
What are some of the real-world problems they're trying to solve with blockchain?
The OGBC is tackling a wide range of challenges.
Okay.
One of their key focuses is on standardizing data formats and protocols for sharing information across different blockchain platforms.
Okay.
This is crucial for interoperability,
Right.
and to prevent the industry from becoming fragmented with incompatible systems.
That makes
It's
sense.
like building a common language that everyone in the industry can understand.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
But beyond those technical aspects,
Yeah.
what kind of tangible benefits is this collaboration aiming to deliver?
The OGBC is all about driving real-world value.
Okay.
For example, they've launched pilot projects exploring the use of blockchain for tracking carbon emissions
Hmm.
and verifying the authenticity of sustainable oil and gas products.
That's interesting.
They're also looking at how blockchain can streamline joint venture agreements,
Okay.
which are super common in the oil and gas industry
Right.
and often involve a lot of complex paperwork and legal stuff.
So it sounds like they're covering a lot of ground,
A lot.
from improving sustainability
Yeah.
to simplifying complex business processes.
Right.
It seems like blockchain has the potential to touch every aspect of the oil and gas industry.
Definitely.
But I'm curious,
Yeah.
beyond the OGBC, are there any other organizations or initiatives out there
Yeah.
that are kind of pushing the boundaries of what's possible with blockchain in this space?
There are actually quite a few.
Okay.
One organization that's doing some innovative work is the Energy Web Foundation,
Okay.
or EWF.
EWF.
They're focused on developing open-source blockchain solutions specifically for the energy sector,
Mm,
and they've been involved in some groundbreaking projects.
that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
What kind of projects are we talking about? What are some of the key areas where they're applying their blockchain expertise?
One of the most notable projects is focused on creating a decentralized platform for tracking renewable energy credits.
Okay.
These credits are essentially certificates that represent the environmental attributes of renewable energy generation,
Mm.
and they're becoming more and more important as companies and governments try to decarbonize their operations.
So it's like creating a digital marketplace for renewable energy,
Yeah.
where companies can buy and sell these credits in a transparent and verifiable way.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
It is.
But how does blockchain specifically address the challenges of managing these renewable energy credits?
Okay, so
What makes it a better solution than what's currently being used?
the traditional way of managing renewable energy credits involve a lot of paperwork,
Yeah.
manual verification process,
Okay.
and intermediaries.
Right.
This can be slow, expensive, and prone to errors.
I can imagine.
Blockchain offers a much more efficient and secure solution. By creating a decentralized and tamper-proof record of these credits, blockchain can streamline the whole process,
Okay.
making it easier for companies to track their renewable energy purchases
Yeah.
and for regulators to verify compliance with environmental standards.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And it ties back to what we were discussing earlier about blockchain's ability to bring transparency and trust to these complex systems.
For sure.
Seems like it's perfect for managing these kinds of environmental commodities.
Absolutely.
But I'm curious to hear more about the specific benefits this could bring to companies and consumers.
Sure.
How could this kind of blockchain-based system potentially impact the way we produce and consume energy?
Well, one of the biggest benefits is that it could potentially speed up the transition to renewable energy
Okay.
by making it easier and cheaper for companies to track and manage their renewable energy purchases. Blockchain can create a stronger incentive for them to invest in these cleaner energy sources. This could lead to a faster shift away from fossil fuels and a cleaner energy future for everyone.
That's a really exciting prospect.
It is.
It sounds like blockchain could be a real game changer in the fight against climate change.
I think so.
But let's be realistic for a moment.
Okay.
Despite all this talk about potential,
Yeah.
we're still in the very early stages of blockchain adoption.
Right.
So what are some of the key challenges and roadblocks that need to be addressed before we can fully realize the promise of this technology in the oil and gas industry?
You're right. There are still hurdles to overcome.
Okay.
One of the biggest is the need for greater regulatory clarity. Governments around the world are still figuring out how to classify and regulate crypto assets and blockchain technology.
Right.
And this lack of clarity can create uncertainty for businesses looking to invest in this space
Makes sense.
without clear guidelines.
Yeah.
It's hard for companies to develop long-term strategies and make informed decisions about how to integrate blockchain into their operations.
So it's like trying to build a house without a blueprint.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need a solid regulatory foundation to support the growth of this industry.
Okay.
And it's not just about making new laws.
Right.
It's also about adapting existing regulations to accommodate this new technology. It's a complex process that needs collaboration between governments, industry leaders, and tech experts.
So it sounds like it's not just about the technology itself.
It's not.
It's about creating a supportive ecosystem that allows blockchain to thrive.
Precisely.
And another critical factor is addressing the skills gap, right?
Absolutely.
We need more people with the technical expertise to develop and implement these solutions,
And
as well as to educate existing workforces on how to use this tech effectively
sure.
without a skilled workforce.
Yeah.
All the potential in the world won't translate into real results.
Like having all the ingredients but not knowing how to cook.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like having a Formula One race car, but no one knows how to drive it. So we need to invest in education and training programs
Absolutely.
to make sure we have a pipeline of talent ready to embrace the opportunities of this blockchain revolution.
It's essential.
But it's not just about technical skills, is it?
No, it's not.
What are some of the other qualities and attributes that will be essential for success in a blockchain-powered world?
You're right.
Yeah.
It's not just about being technically proficient.
Okay.
We also need people who are adaptable, creative,
Yeah.
and have a solid understanding of the energy industry itself.
Right.
Blockchain isn't a magic solution.
Uh-huh.
It's a tool that needs to be applied thoughtfully and strategically
Okay.
to solve real-world problems.
Yeah.
And that needs a combination of technical expertise, industry knowledge, and good old-fashioned problem-solving skills.
Absolutely. That's a powerful message.
It is.
It's not just about coding.
All right.
It's about understanding the complexities of the energy industry
Yeah,
and being able to apply blockchain solutions to create real value.
exactly.
But let's shift gears for a moment
Okay.
and talk about the bigger picture.
Okay.
What are some of the potential long-term impacts of blockchain on the oil and gas industry? How could this tech fundamentally reshape the way we produce and consume energy in the coming decades?
Well, one of the most profound impacts could be a shift toward a more decentralized and democratized energy system.
Okay.
Imagine a world where people and communities can generate their own renewable energy, trade it with each other using blockchain-based platforms,
Wow.
and even participate in energy markets that used to be controlled by large corporations.
That's a really compelling vision.
It is.
It's like taking power back from the big energy companies and putting it into the hands of the people.
Exactly.
But how realistic is that vision?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
What are some of the obstacles that stand in the way of achieving that level of energy democratization? There are definitely challenges. We need to overcome technical hurdles related to grid integration, energy storage, and data security.
Right.
We also need to address regulatory barriers that might stifle innovation
Yeah.
and prevent these new energy models from taking off.
That makes sense.
But maybe the biggest challenge is one of mindset. We need to move away from the traditional, centralized way of producing and distributing energy
Okay.
and embrace a more collaborative and community-driven approach.
That's a huge shift in thinking.
It is.
Yeah.
It's not just about technology.
Right.
It's about changing how we see energy itself. It's about seeing it as a resource that we manage together for everyone's benefit.
I don't think blockchain has the potential to be a catalyst for that kind of transformation, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
It can provide the tools and the infrastructure we need
Yeah.
to build a more equitable, sustainable, and resilient energy future.
That's an inspiring thought to end on.
It is inspiring.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into the world of blockchain in oil and gas, what are the key takeaways you want our listeners to remember?
Sure.
One of the most important things they should be thinking about as they navigate this exciting new technological landscape.
I think the key takeaway is that this technology is changing fast, and its impact is only going to get bigger in the years to come.
Yeah.
Whether you're a consumer, an investor, or just a citizen,
Right.
it's up to all of us to stay informed and engaged.
Yeah.
We need to ask tough questions, challenge assumptions,
Okay.
and demand that this technology is used responsibly and ethically.
Well said.
Thank you.
We've seen how blockchain can make the industry more efficient, more transparent, and even sustainable.
For sure.
But the real question is, how will this technology ultimately affect your life?
That's the question.
Will it make energy cheaper?
Maybe?
Will it give you more control over your energy choices?
Possibly.
Will it help us create a cleaner and more sustainable world?
We can hope.
These are the questions we need to keep in mind as we navigate this new technological landscape.
Absolutely. The answers might not be clear yet,
True.
but one thing's for sure.
So
The journey is just beginning.
it is.
Yeah.
It really is a fascinating thing to watch unfold. But it's not just about these big companies adapting,
Hmm.
blockchain could really shake things up by giving smaller companies access to tools and resources that they couldn't get before.
That's a really interesting point.
Yeah,
It's like democratizing innovation,
exactly.
giving everyone a chance to compete.
Right.
But how does all of this affect us, the everyday consumers?
Yeah,
How could blockchain in oil and gas actually have an impact on our lives?
that's where it gets really interesting for you.
Okay.
Imagine you're at the gas station and you scan a QR code with your phone,
Hmm.
and suddenly you can see the whole journey of that fuel
Okay.
from the wellhead all the way to your tank.
Wow.
You'd have info about where it came from,
Yeah.
its carbon footprint,
Okay.
even its quality certifications, all right there on your phone.
That would be incredible.
Yeah. I love the idea of having all that transparency as a consumer,
Right.
being able to make informed choices about the fuel I buy.
Right.
I could even see it like increasing demand for more sustainable oil and gas
For sure.
if people had that kind of information so easily available.
Absolutely. Your choices could directly influence the whole industry.
Hmm.
And blockchain's impact could go beyond transparency,
Okay.
by making operations more efficient.
Yeah.
And maybe even cutting out the middleman.
Okay.
Blockchain could lead to lower costs for companies,
Right.
which could mean lower prices for consumers.
So lower prices and more transparency.
Exactly.
What's not to like?
Right.
But we have to talk about the elephant in the room when it comes to oil and gas.
Yeah,
The environmental impact.
for sure.
Can blockchain really make a difference in an industry that is often criticized for contributing to climate change?
Well, that's the big question.
Yeah.
It's important to remember that blockchain itself isn't inherently good or bad for the environment.
Right.
It's just a tool.
Okay.
And like any tool, it all depends on how it's used.
So it comes down to implementation and intention.
Exactly.
If companies are just using blockchain to make their existing processes better,
Yeah.
but they aren't addressing the bigger sustainability issues,
Right.
then it's not really going to change anything.
You got it.
Yeah.
But that's where things like the Energy Web Foundation are making a difference.
Okay.
They're really exploring how to use blockchain to track emissions, promote renewable energy,
Right.
and encourage responsible practices within the industry.
It's good to see those kinds of efforts happening.
Yeah.
It gives me hope that blockchain could actually be a positive force in fighting climate change
Right.
rather than just another way to profit from fossil fuels.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And don't forget, blockchain can help us switch to cleaner energy
Okay.
by streamlining how we trade renewable energy credits.
Right.
Imagine a system where you could easily confirm where those credits come from
Yeah.
and that they're real. This would make it easier for everyone to support solar and wind energy.
That's a really important point.
It is.
It's not just about making oil and gas more efficient.
Right.
It's about using technology to speed up our transition to a sustainable energy system overall.
Exactly.
Sounds like blockchain could help bridge the gap between our current reliance on fossil fuels
Yeah.
and a future powered by cleaner alternatives.
It could be a key part of that transition.
Absolutely.
And that's a future worth working towards.
For sure.
But let's think about the people who aren't so sure about all this.
Okay.
Not everyone is convinced about blockchain in oil and gas.
Right.
What would you say to someone who's a little hesitant about this technology?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
It's understandable to have reservations,
Sure.
especially with something so new and still developing.
Right.
But I think it's important to remember that any big change comes with challenges.
Yeah.
It's not about just blindly following the trend.
Mm.
It's about keeping an open mind and looking at the potential benefits and risks.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the complicated parts of blockchain, do more research and development,
Okay.
and work together to find solutions that benefit everyone.
Yeah. Collaboration is key.
It is.
It's exciting to see this technology evolve and all the creative ways companies are using it.
It is.
But sometimes we can get lost in all the hype.
Yeah.
So what are some real examples of how blockchain is being used in the oil and gas industry today?
Sure.
Like actual applications that are already making a difference.
There are a lot of examples already in action.
Okay.
Some companies are using blockchain to manage joint venture agreements,
Oh, okay.
which are super common in this industry.
Right.
These agreements are often really complex,
Yeah.
with multiple parties, tons of paperwork, and a high chance of disagreements.
I can imagine.
Blockchain can streamline the whole thing, making it more efficient, transparent, and secure.
It's a great example of how blockchain can cut through the red tape and make things run smoother.
For sure.
It's not just about the technology. It's
No.
about what it represents.
Okay.
Transparency, accountability, and collaboration.
Exactly.
Any other real-world examples you can think of?
Another good one's tracking royalty payments
Okay.
in a lot of oil and gas producing regions.
Yeah.
Landowners get paid royalties from the companies extracting resources.
Mm-hmm.
These payments can be hard to track and verify.
Right.
Blockchain can create a secure and transparent record of every transaction,
Okay.
making sure everyone gets paid fairly and on time.
So it's about ensuring fairness
Yeah.
and building trust,
Right.
not just within the industry,
Mm.
but also between the industry and the communities they work in.
Exactly, and that trust is essential for a more sustainable and equitable energy future.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
But while we talk about efficiency and cost savings, we also need to think about the ethics.
That's a good point.
We're talking about a resource that powers our world, and there are a lot of people involved.
A lot.
So what are some of the ethical questions we should consider as we use blockchain in oil and gas?
You raise a crucial point.
Yeah.
It's vital to make sure that blockchain doesn't worsen existing inequalities or create new ones.
Right.
For example,
Okay.
data privacy and security are super important, especially with sensitive information about resource extraction and land ownership. We need to be careful about who has access to this data
Okay.
and how it's being used.
Makes sense.
We don't want the benefits of blockchain to only help a few people,
Yeah.
or even worse, to exploit resources or communities.
Absolutely.
Transparency and accountability are essential.
Right.
We need to make sure everyone benefits from blockchain
Okay.
and that everyone has a say in how it's used.
It's about using technology to empower, not to disenfranchise.
Exactly.
Well said.
Thanks.
It seems like we need to find a balance between innovation and responsibility
Yeah.
as we navigate this new tech world.
100%. We need to think about the potential consequences of what we're doing and make sure we're using technology in a way that helps both people and the planet.
Progress with a purpose.
I like that.
Yeah.
Progress with a purpose.
I think we should keep that in mind.
I agree.
So we've covered a lot today.
We have.
From how blockchain works
Right.
to how it could affect consumers, the environment, and even the ethical stuff.
Absolutely.
But there's one question I've been thinking about this whole time.
What's that?
What does the future hold for blockchain in the oil and gas industry?
The million-dollar question.
Yeah.
Predicting the future is always tough.
Right.
But I think it's safe to say blockchain is here for the long haul. It's early days,
Yeah,
but the momentum is clear.
for sure.
As the technology gets better and more companies embrace it,
Yeah.
I think we'll see a huge wave of innovation.
So we're just getting started.
We are just scratching the surface.
Okay.
Think about it. We're already seeing blockchain combined with AI and machine learning.
Right.
Imagine AI optimizing those smart contracts, making them even better,
Okay.
or using AI to analyze blockchain data to predict market trends
Wow.
and make smarter investments.
Yeah.
The possibilities are incredible.
Sounds like we're at the beginning of a tech revolution in energy.
Yeah, I think so.
It's pretty exciting to see all this happening.
It really is.
It's not just about technology for the sake of it.
Right.
It's about using these tools to build a better energy system.
Absolutely.
A more efficient one,
Yeah,
a more sustainable one, and a more equitable one.
for everyone.
Exactly.
That's the goal.
I love that vision.
Me too.
But let's stay grounded for a minute.
Okay.
What are some of the trends and developments we should be watching in the coming years?
Sure.
What will determine if blockchain lives up to the hype or just fades away as another trend?
I think one of the most important things is the development of industry standards and best practices.
Okay.
As more companies start using blockchain,
Yeah,
we'll need a common set of rules for interoperability and data security.
that makes sense.
We need to make sure all these blockchain systems can talk to each other
Right.
and share data safely.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll end up with a messy and inefficient system.
And that's where groups like the OGBC are important.
Absolutely.
They're doing the work to create those standards
Right.
and build a more connected ecosystem for blockchain in oil and gas.
They're key players.
Any other trends you're excited about?
There are a few.
Okay.
I'm particularly interested in how blockchain will affect renewable energy. We talked about some of the possibilities,
Yeah.
but there's so much more to explore.
Okay.
Blockchain could make it easier to trade renewable energy credits, help people share energy directly with each other,
Wow.
and even let consumers become active participants in the energy market.
That's an amazing vision.
It is.
It's like blockchain could create a more decentralized and democratic energy system
That's the hope.
where people and communities have more control over their energy choices. I think
Exact.
that's a future worth fighting for.
I agree.
It's about using technology to create a fairer and more sustainable world for everyone.
Yes.
A world where energy is more than just a commodity.
Right.
It's a force for positive change.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Energy as a force for good.
That's what we should be striving for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really is a powerful idea.
A future where energy empowers us all.
Exactly.
But before we get too caught up in these future dreams,
Right.
let's come back down to earth for a second.
Okay.
What are some of the practical challenges that companies and governments need to tackle to actually make this vision of a blockchain-powered energy future a reality?
Well, one of the big ones is definitely regulatory uncertainty.
Okay.
Governments around the world are still figuring out how to deal with blockchain tech
Yeah.
and crypto assets. And this lack of clarity makes it tough for companies to invest and innovate confidently.
That makes sense. It's hard to build a sustainable business when the rules are always changing.
Right.
We need some clear guidelines and regulations
For sure.
to make sure this tech is used responsibly and ethically.
Absolutely.
But what does that actually look like?
Mm.
What kind of regulations do we need to encourage innovation while protecting consumers and the environment?
It's not just about coming up with new laws. It's
Yeah.
about adapting the existing rules to fit this new technology.
Right.
We need to figure out things like how blockchain transactions are taxed,
Okay.
how to keep data private,
Yeah.
and how to prevent people from using it for illegal activities. It's complicated,
For sure.
but it's essential if we really want to unlock the power of blockchain.
So we need a collaborative approach, right?
Yeah.
Industry leaders, policymakers, and regulators all working together to create an environment where blockchain can thrive.
Exactly. It can't just be a top-down approach. Everyone needs a voice at the table
Yeah,
to create a system that works for everyone.
absolutely. And that collaboration needs to go beyond just national borders too, right?
Oh, definitely. Blockchain is global,
Yeah.
and we need international cooperation
Okay.
to make sure its benefits are shared fairly.
It's a good reminder that this isn't just about the technology.
No, it's not.
It's about people
Right.
working together to build a better future for all of us.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
But besides regulations, what are some other practical challenges we need to address?
Well, another big one is closing that skills gap we talked about.
Right, finding people who can actually work with this stuff.
Exactly.
We need more people who have the technical expertise to develop and implement blockchain solutions.
Yeah.
And we need to educate the existing workforce
Hmm.
so everyone knows how to use this technology effectively.
Absolutely. Without skilled people,
Yeah.
all that potential won't actually translate into real-world change.
It's like having all the tools, but nobody knows how to use them.
It's a common problem.
We need to invest in education and training
For sure.
to build up a pipeline of talent that's ready for this blockchain revolution.
That's a key piece.
But it's not just about technical skills, is it?
No, it's not.
What else will people need to succeed in this blockchain-powered world?
You're right.
Yeah.
It takes more than just technical skills.
Okay.
We need people who can adapt, who are creative,
Okay.
and who understand the energy industry itself.
That's a good point.
Blockchain isn't some magical fix.
Right.
It's a tool that needs to be used intelligently
Yeah.
to solve real problems.
And that requires a blend of tech skills,
Hmm.
industry knowledge,
Right.
and just good problem-solving abilities.
That's exactly.
Absolutely. That's a really important message.
It is.
It's not just about the code.
Right.
It's about understanding the energy industry as a whole and figuring out how blockchain can create real value.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and think long-term.
Okay.
What are some potential big-picture impacts of blockchain on oil and gas? How could this tech fundamentally change how we produce and use energy in the decades to come?
Well, one of the most significant impacts could be a shift toward a more decentralized energy system.
Okay.
Imagine a world where individuals and communities can generate their own renewable energy and trade it with each other using blockchain platforms.
Okay.
They could even participate in energy markets that used to be dominated by big companies.
That's a powerful idea.
It is.
It's about empowering people,
Exactly.
giving them more control over their energy choices.
That's the goal.
But how realistic is that?
It's a good question.
What are the obstacles to making that happen?
Well, there are definitely some challenges.
Okay.
We need to overcome technical issues with grid integration, energy storage, and data security.
Right?
And we need to address regulations that might slow down innovation and
Well,
prevent these new energy models from taking off.
it's about creating an environment where these new ideas can thrive.
Exactly.
But maybe the biggest challenge is a change in mindset, right?
It might be.
We have to move away from that traditional centralized model of energy
Yeah,
and embrace something more collaborative and community driven.
that's a big shift.
It is. It's not just about the technology.
Right.
It's about how we think about energy itself, seeing it as a shared resource,
No.
something we manage together for everyone's benefit.
That's a powerful way to look at it.
And blockchain could help us get there, right?
It could be the key.
Yeah.
It can give us the tools and the infrastructure
Mm.
to build a more equitable and sustainable energy future.
A future where energy is more resilient, too.
Absolutely.
That's a great note to end on.
It is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into blockchain and oil and gas,
Yeah.
what are the big takeaways you want listeners to remember?
Well, the main thing is that this technology is changing rapidly,
Okay.
and it's going to have an even bigger impact in the future.
Mm.
It's up to all of us to stay informed and engaged.
Whether we're consumers,
Right.
investors, or just citizens,
We all have a role to play.
we need to ask questions, challenge what we think we know,
Absolutely.
and make sure this technology is used for good.
I couldn't agree more.
We've explored how blockchain can make the industry more efficient, more transparent, and even more sustainable.
For sure.
But the real question is,
Right?
how will it affect your life?
Mm,
Will it lower energy prices?
maybe.
Will it give you more control?
Possibly.
Will it help build a cleaner world?
It has the potential.
These are the questions to keep in mind as we explore this new tech landscape.
I agree.
The answers might not be clear yet,
That's true.
but one thing's certain.
What did that?
This journey has just begun.
It's an exciting time.
It really is. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of blockchain and oil and gas.
That was my pleasure.
We hope you learned some valuable insights
I hope so.
and that you're as excited as we are about the potential of this amazing technology.
The potential is huge.
Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.
Sounds good.